Hello and welcome. I'm really glad that you're here for a more chemistry or hormone focused conversation that I have with clients and I've experienced and worked through myself. And it's so important because so many women, myself included, have come to me and said, I start the morning with the best intentions of not reacting to my boss, not overreacting to my husband, not flying off the handle with my kids. But by 8 a.m., they're already annoyed at something they received in their email inbox. They snap at their boss. They get off work and they snap at their kids or their husband, or they just feel like they're about to fly off the handle at any moment. And I think this is a really interesting conversation because I've heard this be the case for so many women. They just feel like they are really reactive, like they don't have time for anything, and it just they start the morning with great intentions and then they just don't know what happens. Like, how do they just get so irritable and reactive, and like they just can't control this reaction? It happens too quickly and then they feel guilty and there's this shame spiral that they enter into. And I think there are so many ways that we could take this conversation, but a huge one that I wanted to talk about that can help kind of soften some of this is checking in with your blood sugar. So in this week's article, I wrote about the relationship between blood sugar and stress, or our nervous system, and how we can better support our nervous system by supporting our blood sugar. And it's just an easy entry point because it's mostly free, it's accessible, and it's something we can actually do to get more resources on board while we do the deeper work that actually helps do the regulating long term of our nervous system, so we have more resources, we're less reactive. But in this episode, I really want to talk about, how do we support our blood sugar? What does it feel like to have dysregulated blood sugar? Because there's so many clients that I have that they don't really know what that feels like. So for a lot of women, you may feel like you get reactive, you fly off the handle. Your energy seems to drop off in the afternoon or in between meals. You might feel like you need to be eating every, 2 hours, or you get really hangry. For some people, like I would get really shaky and jittery and like I needed food right now. And I didn't know for the longest time that this was my blood sugar. In some ways I did. I was like, oh, I just have to eat more frequently. But I don't know I don't think that that's the long-term solution. I think there are better ways we can support our blood sugar so that you don't have to eat every 2 hours for the rest of your life. I think there are some underlying things we may consider looking into, but focusing on how can we support our blood sugar so that it can help us have more resources on board to navigate our day so that we're not flying off the handle so much. And please don't hear me saying the only issue here is blood sugar, but I think this is just a really easy entry point, or an easy way to start supporting your body, start supporting the resources you have available to navigate your day so that you are less reactive. You're not flying off the handle, you're not snapping, you don't feel like the smallest thing sends you off the deep end. So I want to share a couple of things that have really helped me and some of my clients. The first one that made a huge difference for me was having breakfast before coffee. So having a savory breakfast in the morning before enjoying my coffee. And this isn't something you have to do forever. Some people get really hung up on this, but I think depending on your chemistry, your hormones, how your body is feeling, this may be one worth considering. Is just having some breakfast, some savory breakfast before you enjoy your coffee. Another one is not having any naked carbohydrates. So pairing any carbohydrates with a fat and a protein. And another thing here is really focusing on the order in which we're eating food. So starting with fiber, which is your vegetables, going on to protein, and then carbohydrates at the end can help kind of soften that blood sugar spike. A fourth one that made a huge difference for me was going on small walks after I eat. So this may not be possible to go on a walk after every time you eat. And when I say go on a walk, sometimes it can be 5 or 10 minutes. Longer is wonderful. Like if you can go on a longer walk after dinner, that's great. But a lot of times in the morning, you're eating breakfast and probably on the run trying to get to work. So something you might do is just get up and move your body a little bit. Do some squats, do some calf raises, run a couple things back and forth to your vehicle that you need to carry throughout the day. Those are just a couple easy ways that you can start moving your body right after you eat. And this one makes a huge difference. And what I will say about all of these is they're very simple. And I know you want to be like, oh, those don't make a big difference. Like, I want something quicker. I want the magic pill. I want something that feels hard and like that's going to do the trick. But I'm telling you, these simple things do really make a huge difference, and they're free. There's something that you can start right now, today, start implementing them slowly, and they do make a big difference pretty quickly and over time. And the last one that makes a huge difference for me, and I really, really notice, is making sure I'm getting adequate sleep. If I'm not getting enough sleep, I can feel my blood sugar being all over the place the next day. And I understand if you're a new mom, this may be really challenging. So we just do the best that we can in the season that we're in, right? But sleep and stress management make a huge difference for me. And the stress management, doing that deeper work, is why we need more resources on board so that we can actually do that deeper work. So the first ideas are just things that can kind of help soften these symptoms more quickly so that you have more capacity or bandwidth to show up for your life and do this deeper work that I'm talking about. And the last thing I want to offer you is there are some supplements that can be really helpful. These are not recommendations for you necessarily, but they're things to consider looking into. One that made a huge difference for me was starting to take inositol daily. So I just put a little bit in my coffee in the morning, but that's something you may consider looking into if some of these symptoms align. But again, you want to make sure that they're the right fit for you. You're working with someone to start taking that. This is not just a blanket recommendation for everybody, but just something that's worth exploring that really helped me. So if you're feeling like you're flying off the handle, you're reactive, you are starting the day with the best intentions, but before you know it, you have no resources left. You feel like your energy is crashing, you're shaky or jittery, or you get really hangry. I really think this could be something worth looking into and starting to implement some of these easy things. And I invite you to consider a few questions like, where am I noticing my energy crashing throughout the day? Am I paying attention to how my body feels after I eat, when I haven't eaten for a few hours? How might I need to better support my body, better fuel my body so that I have sustained energy throughout the day? Where might I need to implement some of these ideas so that I can support my blood sugar, so that I have more resources on board? Those are just a couple questions I invite you to look into or to consider, so that you actually start to take some of this action and implement it into your life. Because information is really helpful, right? But unless we actually do something with it, we're not going to notice a change. So I invite you to pick one of these things and just start implementing it slowly and then add another one and another one. So I'd be so curious to hear which one you feel most excited to start, or which one you're going to start doing today. Just message me, email me, leave something in the comments, but I would love to hear which one resonated with you, which one you're going to try and feels easy to start implementing today. Thanks again for being here.